This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Woo! Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. The Yankees have won the first two games against the Texas Rangers at home, parlaying that Subway Series momentum into something actually pretty nice. Jasson Dominguez hits his first walk-off home run of his career. The Yankees' first walk-off home run in 974 goddamn days. The last one before that was Giancarlo Stanton against Will Crowe and the Pirates. You all remember it well. That was one of the Judge home run games. That was a great game. It was 974 days ago. And now we're here. Good job by the Yankees. Had to use Ian Hamilton yesterday. I had to use Yerry De Los Santos yesterday. And you're like, why is all of this happening? Why did Hamilton give up 2 bombs? And the answer was Fernando Cruz injured. Hopefully not too injured. Brent Hedrick will replace him. We will talk about the repercussions there. Again, much like last week, when we did the Oswaldo Cabrera pod, it's like Yankees win, Knicks win, but we've got this horrible injury. And yeah, I don't think any New Yorkers are coming into today's podcast with full energy, just being like, wow, Dominguez walk-off, the city is back, because you all watched the Knicks game, and it was a horror movie. So I don't want to dwell on it for too long. And actually, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably coming to it so that you don't have to think about that stupid basketball game. So not a lot of Knicks discussion on the show, but yeah, we watched it. And so if you're here because you're trying to duck it, we'll help you. If you're here because you want to talk about that, there are a million other podcasts you could go to. Here's the one thing I don't understand is if you got friends who are sending you stats like, wow, it's since 1997, there's never been a loss like that before. Who's that for? Who's that for? Who wants to read that shit? Why am I'm waking up and I'm going, wow, that's the worst Knicks loss I've ever seen in my life. If only there was some stat to put into context how bad it was. Oh, wow. So it's never happened before? Oh, before that, I thought it was just sort of your run-of-the-mill, go get them next time. What does it do? What does that do for anyone? Just texting me like, oh, my gosh, that's the latest. That's the highest bouncing buzzer beater since, Pistol Pete Maravich. I'm like, great. I already feel like shit. Who cares? So we're not going to be doing any more of that on the show. We will be talking about Ian Hambone a little bit and Fernando Cruz, as well as Will Warren arriving. Ryan Yarbrough beating Jacob deGrom. Not really, but also the Yankees won Ryan Yarbrough versus Jacob deGrom, which is so Red Sox coded. It's painful. Like there is nothing more Red Sox coded than looking at the schedule and seeing like it was often they used to beat deGrom too. I remember Sandy Leon hit like a 2, or maybe it was Christian Vasquez hit like a big 2-run double against deGrom once. Like it was always like Chris Sale against Allen Webster, and you'd be like, "Wow, Red Sox are going to lose that one at least." Nope, 7-1 Boston wins. So the Yankees win the Ryan Yarbrough deGrom game, capture the series. Will Warren is still the story of the first 2 games, as far as I'm concerned, as well as, of course, somebody daring to pitch. They set it up perfectly. So somebody had to pitch to Aaron Judge in the late innings yesterday. Bellinger comes through. Dominguez, yeah, the ball's on a tee, but also he demolished it into the dead of night. Plus, the Juan Soto stuff just kind of keeps getting funnier after the series at Fenway that the Mets just played. I hope we get to talk about that on every show for the rest of time because it rules. But the Yankees lost a catcher this offseason. It'd be nice. We still had him, unfortunately. He plays in Boston. Thank you for joining us every Monday, every Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern, typically coming live to you at noon today. There is a Yankee game at 12:35 to finish the series. So I'm told. Aaron Boone says there is a window. I don't know about the window and there being a window, but maybe
windows exist. Yeah.
Might play some really sloppy baseball today. They have to play a game tomorrow night in Colorado. Not saying that it's not a day game in Colorado and the Rockies aren't the Dodgers, but also like how long do we got to keep the Yankees in New York when they're supposed to play in Colorado tomorrow night? Just a question. Just questions are being asked. But Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show. Jasson Dominguez, baby, the Martian has arrived, or at least he took care of business in the bottom of the 9th inning yesterday, so we did not have to watch that one stretch into extra innings, something I would not have been able to handle, knowing that the New York Knickerbockers were about to stretch into overtime, and overtime never should have happened, and extra innings that didn't happen. Go Martian.
Yeah, awesome moment. I want to know, are your friends like watch this podcast and they're like, "Oh, Adam's calling me out for texting him
all the
that
time.
thing."
I actually don't know. I don't know if it's just something. It's behavior I don't get.
Or
Like
they just side text each other. They're like, "I can't believe Adam's calling us out in front of these audience."
they should do that. I hope you're side texting one another. I love you all dearly, but like, what is this added context doing? I'm already in the shambles. Like, people are asking me, "Are you okay?" No, I mean, yeah, I'll get over it. I'm an adult man, but no, I feel bad. And they're like, "Wow, you should feel a little bit worse. Let me send you something to make you feel a little bit worse."
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, it was a shame that I think that Yankees, cool Yankees victory, very cool Yankees victory, that I think had a lot of takeaways from, like, meaningful takeaways from it, got overshadowed by that Knicks loss, which was, I mean, hands down the worst basketball game I've ever witnessed. The impossible occurrence after impossible occurrence, and you never want to live through that, but here we are. Dominguez. Interesting season from him, right? Because the offensive numbers are not, like, the OPS plus is there for whatever reason, still trying to figure that out. But the rest of the numbers are definitively not really there, like OPSing 770, batting 240, not entirely special. Defense is very much not there. We've discussed that last episode, but he has these moments, right? He had the bases clearing double against the Royals, which essentially won the Yankees a game. He has that 3 home run performance against the A's, which nobody else in baseball has done this season. Actually, no, Eugenio Suarez did. But still, point stands. You have his debut from 2 years ago when he homered off Justin Verlander in his first at bat, and now you have the first Yankees walk-off home run in 974 days, which honestly, like, shame on them for that. I don't know who's had a longer streak. Does anybody have the stats out there? Like, I bet the Pirates have a more recent walk-off home run than the Yankees, which
Probably.
is just, the Yankees literally design their team to hit home runs, and they go almost 3 full years without a walk-off home run. It's just like baffling, more and more baffling every time that you look at the stats. But I am starting to wonder, because I'm a big critic of this. Are the Yankees, like, kind of becoming clutch? Are they finding the clutch gene? I mean, that's 3 victories now within the span of a week that featured late inning comebacks. You had the Mariners last Thursday before the Subway Series. Then you had Sunday Night Baseball. Then you had last night, all against good opponents too, right? Like, all of those teams are among the best in the league in some capacity. Whether it's Jacob deGrom being one of the best starters, or the Mariners who were atop the AL West, or the Mets who were atop the NL before the end of the Subway Series. So I'm looking at Cody Bellinger, arguably the hottest hitter in Major League Baseball right now. He's batting 265 with an 810 OPS, which kind of sounded ridiculous if you were to think about that 2 weeks ago. Thankfully, though, I think for the most part, Yankee fans in general have been patient with him. No one's been overly critical. The struggles were admittedly not fun, but everybody knew that he was providing value in helping protect Aaron Judge and playing really great defense. So it was nice to see the patience kind of come full circle here now that he's kind of certifiably on fire. But I don't know. These comeback victories have me feeling some sort of way, and, like, the Yankees are making all this stuff work. Like, you have Ryan Yarbrough, who might be my new favorite baseball player, going 5 innings last night, and I don't know why the Yankees had to use 5 relievers in 4 innings of work. That gets me angry on a whole nother level. But the comeback victory, awesome. Jasson Dominguez, pretty cool. Like, obviously we'd like to see more consistency, but something's got to be said for, him putting his stamp on these insane moments to start his career. Like, that's not insignificant. And yeah, you'd like to see a little bit more consistency, but clearly he's built for some sort of the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no writing it off. People, will do whatever they want to do. They'll cite the batting average or show the hanger and be like, well, who wouldn't have hit this out? A lot of people, right? Like, what the hell are we doing? I mean, the Aaron Judge middle discourse is back. Dominguez delivered. He did the job. He hit like a 400-foot shot to the second deck. He ended the game. He ended your life if you're the Texas Rangers in that game, trying to fight through it. This team had decidedly lacked. It's always nice when they make an argument pretty directly aimed at their biggest critics, and people were, watching the start to the season and they're in first place and they're, 5, 6, 7 over, but where's the moment? Every time they go down, they don't come back in the later innings. They only give up leads in the 8th or later. They don't steal them back. And it was true. And then now it's not, because they came back in Seattle in that game you mentioned. They even tied the game prior in the 9th and then went down in extras, and rode extra innings is still something that they can't conquer. But late rally in the second game, late rally and a win in the third, pulling away in the third game of the Subway Series, a tie ball game that turned into a blowout win. And then last night, down 3-1 in the 7th to Jacob deGrom. You could pack that in, and you don't have Fernando Cruz available in the bullpen. So you gave it your best shot with Ryan Yarbrough, right? And then Hamilton has to come in, and he shouldn't be there. And he almost kind of made game 1 of the series interesting, but he's the best they've got. And he gives up 2 bombs, and the game is over. And, if the Yankees had lost 3-1, you would have complained about Boone's bullpen usage, and the most, infuriating critics on earth would have said, hey, even with a Cruz injury, should have had a better option. Like he would have gotten roasted. But Bellinger, patience from Grisham, and Judge delivers, and there goes Dominguez. So it's a great win. It's a series win. It's exactly what you need to make this sort of rain-soaked game. Irrelevant is the wrong answer, but taking a series from this Rangers team, and I think you're going to look back on this Rangers team later in the year and say, I'm glad we got him when we did, because Rangers fans are furious. The offense just doesn't function, and they were awful in clutch situations yesterday. Left the bases loaded a couple of times. Yerry De Los Santos wriggled out of trouble, but I don't think that's good. It's one of those situations where I really don't think it's just going to be like bad offense forever. The Rangers are a bad team, and you can't.
They're
really
just bad on the road.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on. Like 8-15 on the road, straight up bad. So once that and that will normalize. Very few, I think, teams of this caliber will continue playing that poorly on the road. But that's the difference for them this season. Otherwise, they got a good team.
Yeah. They got a good team, and they'll continue to have a good team. And they have an absurd pitching staff, and resurgent Patrick Corbin and DeGrom and Eovaldi going today. Did the Yankees dominate DeGrom? No, nobody does that if he's healthy. But 2 runs in 7, I mean, you take that all day.
Yeah.
That's how you beat him. You hold him down, and the person who held him down was literally Ryan Yarbrough. So, that's a game that we note. But there's obviously a negative here that, the Cruz injury, they're bringing up Brent Hedrick. You're going to lose Cruz for a couple weeks. He claims it's the minimum. They announced last night, while everyone was doing the most obvious detective work of all time, that he was not going to pitch in that game. He was down, and he had already gotten a shoulder MRI. So we knew it was clean, but obviously battling something through 26 not very good pitches against the Mets.
Yeah.
Pelted barking. He's been the best strikeout artist reliever in Major League Baseball this year. He has been a special part of the Yankees bullpen, and he thinks he'll be back at the end of this minimum stay on the IL. That's never true, but hopefully he's back shortly after that. They have enough bullpen arms. Again, the last couple of outings have been bad. So what do you want? Do you want a struggling Cruz, or do you want a fresh arm? Hedrick was good last time he was here. I'm interested to see what he can bring. Hard-throwing lefty. But you'll lose Cruz, and the trickle down is that you have to use a guy like Ian Hamilton, who you just brought in the 9th inning of a 5-0 game, made it 5-2 with 2 outs in the inning, and gave up a triple and got yanked.
Yeah.
Then has to come into the tie game in the 7th inning yesterday, and you're like, what? And it's not a game 1 thing. It's not a Tuesday thing. Hamilton is terrible for weeks now, and he started the season late. Battled an illness and was late to build up, and finally built up, came off the IL. He's not viable right now. And if you're looking for an upgrade or to make a change, Jonathan Loaizaga, unfortunately, is directly replacing Cruz. Essentially, he can't be the upgrade on Hamilton. You can't DFA him. I would try Hedrick. Yeah, I would have tried Hedrick or an alternative, even if Cruz weren't hurt, because Hamilton's just been that useless. But he's the only real sticking point I have for this series, and now we know why. He was in a game he shouldn't have been in. But is there anybody else who deserves scorn for this series?
I mean, I don't know about necessarily this series, but Austin Wells, man, I love the guy, but what's going on? batting 200, OBPing under 300, 5 strikeouts in the last 2 games. Like, I don't know what's happening. I can't put my finger on it. It's like dangerously Anthony Volpe territory with everything we've been worrying about with him in terms of the strikeouts and the lack of walks and all of that. So
he's under 100 OPS plus now too. So like with Wells down to 98.
Wells, yeah. I mean, that's not surprising. He's oh, sorry, I had it right here. He is slash line of 200, 269, 443. So like the slugging is a little bit there, but everything else is decidedly not. And yeah, I am concerned because like, look, defense, in my opinion, too, a little bit shaky. Like, got to block that Max Fried curveball last week. Was that Sunday or was that early on in the Mariners? I forgot what series it was. And there was another pitch where, curveball was spiked and it got by him. And I understand
he let the Mets tie the game with Soto at the plate in the middle of Sunday night.
Yeah, I think there might have been. There was another incident that I'm trying to not clock these things because you don't want to get down on people when the team, the team is 29-19, right? Like you said, we're having this little segment here to just call out what's going wrong. So I'm trying to not dock everything Austin Wells is doing that's poor. But yeah, there were 2 defensive plays over the last week where I was just like, what? And then you have obviously mounting strikeout rate, declining walk rate. And if I were to pull up his Savant page, I was trying to avoid this, but the contact rate is just, I mean, all these are abysmal. Even his weighted on base 27th percentile, expected batting average 6th percentile. So like, last year when he was struggling in the beginning of the season, it was the opposite. We were like, all right, what conclusions can we draw? He was hitting the ball hard, making good contact. He was just hitting it to the wrong spots. So at that point, you're like, all right, first full season, like getting his sea legs under him, trying to figure it out, getting unlucky. We've seen this story before. And then he eventually turned it around, had a nice power surge before obviously kind of falling off towards the end of last year, which we thought might have been as a result of fatigue. But again, it's continuing into this year, so there might be something else at play. But not squaring up any balls, not hitting anything on the sweet spot, chasing pitches, whiffing. And it's just, it's all not looking great. Obviously, there are some things to look at here, like his average exit velocity, 67 percentile, but everything that he's doing well is kind of like 60th to 75th percentile. He's not doing anything exceptionally. So I think we're running into a situation here where maybe we have to start having this conversation or clocking what he's doing more consistently, because at this rate, next week is 2 months into the season. You cannot be OBPing 269. It's just not with how the rest of this lineup is performing. You look at everybody else, like, again, this is the most balanced lineup we've seen the Yankees have since maybe 2020 in terms of productive players and contributors. And to have somebody this talented and this promising disappear when everybody else around him is succeeding and in theory would be helping him get a leg up in the lineup is concerning.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. We traded Carlos Narvaez to Boston this offseason for Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who we like, who's like helped build up the, high A ranks, the Yankees' top pitching prospects. It might be a good baseball trade in theory. Use your catching depth to get a pitching prospect you really believe in. But guess what? There are pitching prospects you like who aren't on the Boston Red Sox. Like, what are we doing? Why are we, are we saying Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, if he's the best pitching prospect in baseball, if you think you can unlock him to that degree, then go ahead and get him. If all you're doing is trying to build up your war chest of high A arms and develop, an electric arm, I think you could find an electric arm somewhere else in baseball who fits that bill too. Is this petty? Yeah, of course it is. But why are you giving a catcher with an 800 OPS to the Boston Red Sox? 1.8 WAR in 36 games, 5 homers, 7 doubles, hitting 279. unless you didn't think he was capable of doing that and you misevaluated your catching depth, which appears to be what you did. But obviously the Red Sox were willing to give up
second year in a row.
Yeah.
Rortvedt, and guys, we haven't been focusing on what Jose Trevino has been doing with the Reds, but don't look. Please don't look.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you love him, you can look, but obviously the Yankees, JC Escar has had his moments. Austin Wells is Austin Wells, but the best catchers statistically who are in the Yankees catching room last year on the Reds and Red Sox right now. And the Yankees have kept 3 and 4 based on the first month and a half of the season. Not long-term, not permanent. Jose Trevino is 32. You wouldn't want to bet on him forever. But yeah, right now he's playing at an all-star level. Narvaez hasn't played enough, but he's playing at an all-star level. And Austin Wells, an offense first catcher, has a below 100 OPS plus. So it's worth thinking about. I understand if you're thinking we're getting this, this is a third string catcher and he's sturdy and he could put bat on ball, but he has this limited upside. You're willing to, the Red Sox are showing interest. They're a little desperate. They don't have a long-term catching plan behind Connor Wong, who is fine, not great. You think you're taking advantage of their desperation, but so maybe there's no other organization in Major League Baseball who believed in Carlos Narvaez the way Boston did. They were the only ones willing to engage and give away a high upside pitcher like this. Fine. I know it's petty, but I would just still not do that. I would still just go shop him around anywhere else, or just, keep him in the fold because well,
imagine how worse off the Red Sox would be if they didn't have Carlos Narvaez this season. Connor Wong was injured and then he came back and he hasn't really been great. So they would have had a net negative at a very important position. And now instead they have a beyond unique leg up by having a 1.8 WAR catcher through 34 games or whatever it is.
And the Blake Sable, who the Red Sox called up to catch the first time, was like the worst player in baseball. Had no arm, and people were just stealing like crazy on him. And then they just turned over a new leaf. They've got a 2 WAR catcher on pace for 6 WAR, who we happen to give them for free. So not to get too frustrated, and also for free, not fair. Rodriguez Cruz is great. He's also in high A, and he was also pretty explicitly grabbed to be depth you trade eventually. Like they drafted 12 pitchers in the 2024 draft so that they could maybe keep Ben Hess, trade Bryce Cunningham, trade Griffin Herring. Like it was pretty clear they're trying to build that stable back up. They've got Rodriguez Cruz. They've got Schlittler. They've got Brendan Beck. They've got a lot of guys who they can deal with and deal from at this deadline. But I'm not giving up a catcher with that level of upside. And it's on the Yankees to know that he's got that level of upside. If the Red Sox come calling, they might know something you don't. And it's not a good idea to be like, wow, they're offering a surprisingly high-end pitching prospect for this random afterthought catcher. We should probably do it. No, you should probably not, because they clearly have their scouting hooks in your system. So not to get too screamy in a series the Yankees won against the Texas Rangers, not the Red Sox, but still valid, worth discussing. Hey, how about Will Warren, who's doing more than just emerging and doing more than just living up to his best metrics? And the latest edition of Warren's dominance was maybe his best yet. You can say what you want about the Rangers offense and the Rangers on the road, but that's 3 in a row from Warren against a team that you look up and down the Rangers lineup. Marcus Semien has not been himself, but star-studded to say the least. Seattle first place in that division, and for the first time in forever, they're performing offensively in Seattle. And at Sacramento A's, 7 1/3 grand innings, 7 Ks in that one against a team that has, yes, been performing far better. So Will Warren's tour through the AL West has gone swimmingly, and there's, if you believe in FIP, even more room to grow. He's got a 2.84 FIP. He's finally having an average numerical season on the surface. Got the ERA plus to 98. All the way down to 4.05, looking a little bit like Devin Williams' ERA falling out. What was Devin Williams' ERA at its height? Like 12 point something?
Yeah, it was literally, yeah.
Yeah, and now we're in the 6.88 range, which, still really bad. But reliever small sample size, he had a long way to go to even get that into respectability. And he's working on it. Will Warren, and sometimes I'll say I saw it coming, and sometimes I'll say, I didn't, and sometimes I'll say I disagreed. The Will Warren situation is one where I'm dumb. I might be dumb. Like I was.
Oh yeah, fully. I'm dumb.
I was getting frustrated with people. Will Warren situation was just, for me, I get frustrated when predictive statistics tell me something for a growing sample size of like 20 games and it never turns around, then I'm like, all right, well, I'm done with the predictive statistics. I understand the stuff is nasty and I understand it replicates Michael King and I understand he's generating all these whiffs, but he gets beaten up every day. He gives up 4 runs in 4 innings every single time he toes the rubber. So how much longer do I have to wait for this to normalize before we can all admit that Will Warren has incredible stuff? Will Warren's command is lacking. Something isn't clicking between the ears and it's not going to work, whether it's in New York or whether it's long-term. And then basically immediately after that breaking point, the start in Baltimore, when I was just like, yeah, he's missing it. Like, I get all of the metrics, but he's missing it. He found it. And he found it on the road twice and then at home for the first time in this start against Texas. He wriggled out of a jam to end it too. He didn't get all the way out. Mark Leiter Jr. finished the job, but crazy 6th inning. When he enters the 6th inning, pretty much cruising with 9 Ks and 5. Oswald Peraza makes that tarp play, and then he lets the next 3 batters on base, strikes out somebody looking, leaves the game. Mark Leiter Jr. finishes it off with another nasty K. 10 Ks in 5 2/3 innings. Looking like spring training Will Warren, looking like there's a reason to believe. And now, again, every start that was Carrasco and Warren at his worst is now, and Marcus Stroman is turning into Warren at his best and Ryan Yarbrough holding it down. That is a huge difference for a rotation that is now numerically succeeding, so undermanned. Like, imagine this group with Garrett Cole. Instead, this is what you get. And this is pretty good.
This is awesome. This is you got a slow clap for the Yankees for, again, making the necessary roster move when they needed to. You had to just get Carrasco out of there and try something else, and they were able to, I guess, diagnose whatever was wrong with Warren, and they trusted Ryan Yarbrough to give them the length that they needed. So this is, again, you act fast and you get ahead of stuff. You are sometimes rewarded in a big way. So, look, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Will Warren. Fastball's got more life. Sweeper is pretty nasty, and he's attacking the zone, which if you look at his numbers when he's ahead in the count, pretty friggin' good. And his problem previously was not getting ahead in the count. So that slight adjustment has clearly made a big difference with what he's doing. There are still some concerns, though. I understand that a lot of this is probably from his previous, how many starts has he made? He's made 10 starts. So this is previous 7 because his last 3 have been pristine. 6th percentile in average exit velocity, 6th percentile in hard hit rate, 4th percentile in off-speed run value. Again, all of these are not going to, he's not getting batters to chase, 21st percentile. So I think we'll see a turnaround there. At least I'd hope. Now that he's attacking the zone more, he can maybe leave the zone a little bit and fool hitters, hopefully. I know that the last few starts, he really has limited the hard contact, and he's definitely limited the walks, which has been great. So it just goes to show how maybe bad those first 6 starts were, or whatever it was, or, probably how bad 4 out of those 7 starts were. Because again, he went 5 innings and 2 earned in like 3 of those. So you can't ask for everything from a rookie pitcher. Like, that's a good start from a number 5 guy. 5 innings, 2 earned. Like, I don't know what more you can possibly desire, especially from somebody who's like a bit up and down and struggling. Like, when he went 5 innings in those outings, it felt like a godsend. You're like, oh my God, holy crap. Like, whew, if he went 3 again, we were going to be in big trouble, but he went 5. Now we can save the bullpen or like stay in this game. But yeah, the rebound here has been absolutely incredible. And again, we'll give Yankees credit. We know they stick with guys for sometimes too long, and they like to see these stories unfold, whether the signs are there or not. I think that for guys like Clark Schmidt and for Will Warren, they've largely seen, for Schmidt, they've seen the best side. I know Schmidt has had injury issues, but he's been an incredibly effective pitcher, even though sometimes he could be frustrating. And Will Warren, if this shift is for real, pretty incredible. There's a reason why I think teams were maybe trying to buy low on him at the trade deadline and in the offseason. Clearly, whatever Matt Blake has done here, whatever Warren has worked hard to adjust here, absolutely incredible. I did have one bad thought about personnel, though. And it's just like, wouldn't Josh Smith be great on this team and not Oswald Peraza?
Dupes.
Traded Josh Smith in the Joey Gallo deal.
Whoops.
Look, it happens. You were going to give up somebody who was going to be valuable. At first, we thought that was Ezekiel Duran. Turns out he's not doing anything. But it's Josh Smith, who's a very good utility player, OPSing above like 800, and plays all the defensive positions very well. So, that would be a bench piece with intent, which the Yankees don't have at the moment.
I can't believe that we're still watching Pablo Reyes. Like, I just don't know how. I don't get it. Like,
well, are we watching him?
That's we're seeing him in the bench.
We're seeing him exist.
He took over for Oswaldo Cabrera at his like charity youth camp, the other day. So he's out on the town. He's got friends on the team, but man, yeah, they don't know how to build a bench, do they? They just never know how to build a bench, and they still don't. It's not like I'm not saying you should undo the Joey Gallo trade because you need to build your 2019. You gotta go back and in 2021 and be like, no, don't. We're gonna need a bench in 2025. But still, it's you picked the wrong guy.
We were saying every year though we need a bench, so it's not completely unfounded. We're like, hey, we need a bench in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and we still don't have it in 2025.
Yeah, every single year, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not. I would still use resources to build the rotation at the deadline, right? I'm not getting fooled by Will Warren necessarily. I'm thrilled that Will Warren is living up to what we were hoping he would live up to. Ryan Yarbrough has been excellent. He's also a swingman, reliever, long man by trade. So how many innings are you going to get out of him? Like 85, 90, 95? At what point does his effectiveness begin to wane? And even if it never does, you're going to start him in a playoff game? No. You'll carry him on your roster, but no. So you need a Luis Gil bounce back, which I think it's fair to be less confident in by the day, because where's that throwing program? When do we see him? Mid-July, end of July, early August? Love the guy, but not acting at the trade deadline because I'm waiting for him. And then even if he does come back, then you've got Warren in the Yarbrough spot. Can you upgrade that? Can you at least ensure against regression? Yeah. Or another injury, God forbid, or Gil coming back and not looking full strength. I think it's less and less likely that Gil is in the playoff rotation if they do make the postseason and they need to fill out a 4-man, especially given the amount of time he's going to have to get right. I mean, it'll be the opposite problem he had last year when he pitched almost the whole season, was unbelievably fatigued, lost his release point by end of year, and was getting through, what did he get through, 4 innings in that miracle start in Cleveland in the ALCS, and good for him. But, I mean, he was, a 3 and fly at that point. The whole Guardians rotation was like Tanner Bybee giving you 2 innings by the time we got to the ALCS. That's what Luis Gil was, too. It was like, can we get him for 2? Can he get through the lineup once? I mean, that's not what he was all year. You got a guy who struck out 15 dudes or whatever against the White Sox, and by end of year, it's like, I think he can give us 6 batters. What the fuck is that? So you definitely need to devote resources at the deadline to infield help, please, for the love of God. Preferably a starting third baseman caliber guy who pushes the current options down to the bench. I would love DJ LeMahieu to be a bench player. He finally looks like an intentional bench player. How long can you trust him to be available? I don't know, but right up there with infield, please. Major league capable infield work is starting pitching. You need another one, and Will Warren has done so much, and Ryan Yarbrough has done literally all he can. You pray every day he's not tapped out, and you want to be proactive there instead of reactive. You hope he can get to the deadline when you're really going to do the work that is necessary to get this team where it needs to be, as they have their eyes on, ideally, a long postseason run. It's a weird American League. The Yankees are 10 games over 500, and the Yankees have taken another series from the Rangers after taking a series from the Mets, and nobody thought they would take that series from the Mets. But guess who helped them out taking that series from the Mets? Juan Soto, who couldn't hit. And then after the series, apparently anonymous Michael Kay said that Soto wanted to go to the Yankees, but his family wanted him to go to the Mets. And all right. Well,
people are saying that's the Yankees coping still, and I'm just like, get over yourself, man.
What sources does Michael Kay have? Again, like probably a lot.
Just like, what are the Yankees coping about? They're having a good year, and they literally just proved that. And again, I like Juan Soto. It'd be really cool if he was still on the Yankees, but it showed that the Yankees avoided, like we talked about Monday, putting themselves in a position where their lineup was completely top heavy and they weren't able to get more athletic and they weren't able to get better defensively and they weren't able to diversify the lineup that in a way that they needed to in order to survive. So it was like we saw them bottom out in the World Series. Like the upper echelon competition was too much for them. And if you didn't change that, then you were going to run into the same problem this year. So again, perfect world, Juan Soto stays with the Yankees and they overextend themselves to get the right pieces in place, whatever that may have been. But you knew they weren't going to do that. So this is the next best thing. But like, why would the Yankees be coping if they just took down the Mets in the Subway Series? They watch Juan Soto go 1 for 10. They watch him get mercilessly booed and like made a mockery of on television. It's like, that's all you need if you're a vindictive person. Like if you cared that much about Juan Soto leaving and you wanted to get revenge on him in the short term, like you got what you needed if you're the Yankees. Like if anybody in the front office wanted to feel validated in any sort of way by being affected by this, like they got it. There was no leaking more stuff after this. It does nothing. It just the Yankees already got what they needed to and rebounded in that Subway Series in the best manner possible to put this behind them. So obviously there's 5 months left of the season. So like the story hasn't written itself, but the Yankees have themselves in good position. So I don't know why like Carl Ravitch is not a Yankees insider. Carl Ravitch said that on the Sunday night broadcast. Don't know why. Yeah. Michael Kay obviously has sources. He's an insider. He has works for the Yes Network and has an ESPN radio show. Like, do I believe? I mean, I'm not like, I don't think it's an outright lie. I'm not gonna like look into it and be like, wow, can't believe Juan Soto listened to his family. But like, you know that outside forces help make these decisions when it comes down to free agency or whatever it is. So like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Do I care? No, I don't care. Like, it is what it is. But Yankees are not coping. The Yankees are better off right now.
It's just like if you're the Yankees front office and Soto has the series he has, a bad series, and you dominate him and he gets intimidated and the bleacher creatures have him scared and you win the series, why are you leaking that he wanted to be there? Like, again, the whole series plays out. It looks like you made the right decision. Why would you lie about actually like that guy who just sucked real bad wanted to be on our team instead? What does that do for you? It's bad news. It's certainly not a report Met fans want to hear, but it definitely adds color to the Subway Series and helps explain what we watched. So that's why Michael Kay noted what he was hearing, and maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not. But why would that come directly from the Yankees at that point in time? Yeah. Like, just so you guys know, we could have had the guy that got intimidated by the crowd and came up small. Like, he could have been ours, but he actually chose the Mets because of his family. You're not allowed to report things that make people look bad anymore, apparently, without being told it's coping. There's always like a tie to the audience. Oh, of course Michael Kay said that. Of course Jack Curry said that. He works for the Yes Network. Okay, I guess he should just be, Substack guy, independent, unpaid. Like, what are we doing? And so Soto has a terrible series. Carl Ravitch, again, Yankee homer, hates the Mets. Probably getting fed information by Buster Olney, Frank the Tank's longtime enemy, says Juan Soto is a private jet. Jeff Passan says Juan Soto does not have a private jet. He made that up. Jeff Passan loves to defend Steve Cohen, one of his.
Of course, first couldn't wait to.
So there we go, and that's what we're told. All of these lies and slander and Juan Soto treason or whatever. And then in the first game of the series in Boston, after Soto did not run out a grounder that could have maybe altered the complexion of the eighth inning against the Yankees on Sunday, he hits a ball off the Green Monster, watches it fly. It doesn't even come close to leaving. That's a huge wall. Bangs off the middle. It's a single. He's not the first person to get baited by the Green Monster. He won't be the last. But after the game, Carlos Mendoza, his manager, was like, I got to talk to Juan about hustling out of the box. And then they were like, hey, Juan, your manager says he's going to talk to you about hustling. Do you have any comments on that? And he was like, I was hustling. If you watched me, I was running hard. Wrong answer, man. Wrong answer. Do not say that. Why is your first impulse to combat your manager instead of just saying that we'll keep that in-house?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Or damn, thought it was gone. Next time I'll run.
Thought made a mistake.
Yeah.
I got to be better than that. I will be. Very simple. But instead, we all have eyeballs. We watched the game. We know that you were not hustling. It's not unforgivable. He stole second right after, so he knew that he had done something wrong. We knew that you did something wrong. Your manager knew you did something wrong. And sorry to an unnamed Barstool Sports employee who makes insufferable videos. You ever notice the Barstool videos are 2 minutes and 48 seconds long, and they say one thing in different ways for all 2 minutes and 48 seconds of the videos? Just the same sentence rephrased slightly. Yankee fans are delusional. The delusion is wild with these Yankee fans. Yankee fans are building fan fiction that is absolutely delusional when it comes to Juan Soto and the Mets. They're in a delusion cave having literal delusion fantasies. Like, it's embarrassing content. But one of those videos was circulating about how it's fan fiction that the Yankees, how could Juan Soto possibly be dissatisfied with the Mets? There's no evidence. Bob Clappish saying that Mets people in the hierarchy are already concerned over his lack of enthusiasm. And then smash cut to 1 game later, the Mets manager says, I saw him not hustling. And Juan Soto said, I was hustling. It sounds like management may be dissatisfied with Juan Soto. Then Carlos Mendoza bumped him down to the 3rd spot in the lineup. In a game the Mets won, in a finale the Mets won at Fenway Park, Soto didn't swing the bat in this game.
Literally.
Silent protest. The first at-bat against Garrett Crochet just took 3 right down the middle. Garrett Crochet, one of the best pitchers in baseball, didn't have to do anything in that at-bat. Nothing special there. It might as well have been Ryan Yarbrough against Jacob deGrom. Nothing. Down the middle, down the middle, down the middle. Soto staring 3 times. So moving Soto to the 3-hole worked for everybody else, but not Juan Soto. I don't think this is probably the most sports talking Radiohead take I'm going to have for the rest of the year, but I don't give a shit if he wants to be a Yankee or not. He made his choice. It's over. The Yankees have moved on. I am enjoying the way that they've moved on. I'm not forgetting about Juan Soto. I'm always going to think about Juan Soto as a fraud for the relationship he built up and fractured with the people in right field. He spent a fun year using them and then discarded them when it came time to make a little bit more money and get a little bit more concessions with another team. I'm always going to judge Juan Soto for doing that. I'll always be happy that he hit the home run to send the Yankees to the World Series. I'll never forget that moment or how I felt. I'll never forget how I thought he felt. And I'm not going to, I don't care. I've forgotten, but I'm not going to just forgive and say, you would do the same thing at your job. You would leave for more money. Yeah, maybe. But, I wouldn't spend the whole year gassing up my company first. And this is the only company I ever want to work at. They have the best workers and fans. And
you got the best snacks, dude.
Yeah, there's nobody makes better granola bars than Quaker, and that's what we get every day. We got the best office manager in the world. I'm just so blessed to be here. I wouldn't be doing that. So I'm definitely not going to look the other way on it. And is Soto dissatisfied? Does he look like he's a little bit moodier in Queens? Is he shuffling? Is he being strange? Yeah, all of the above. Check, 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 check. Not a permanent judgment. Contracts, he's still a great player. Having a pretty good year, not a Juan Soto year, but a good year. He's going to have his moments with the Mets. He's too good not to, but is it fan fiction to say he's acting strange? No, this is pretty weird.
Even the Mets fans are saying it. Even WFAN. Remember, don't forget, guys.
You got to be delusional, man. Fan fiction, friction, delusion.
WFAN is mostly the biggest personalities are Mets fans there. And they have been candidly talking about this. And it's actually, it's been funny because you get the clips of someone freaking out and pounding a table. But if you listen to the full 5 minutes of what they're saying, it's not giving up on Juan Soto, love Juan Soto, but you can't go through watching every Mets game that you have this year and think that nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I'm not watching all the Mets games. I don't care about the Mets games. I'll watch the Mets if they're on a random night or if they're playing the Yankees. Do I hate Juan Soto? No. Do I care about him? No, I don't. The 1 year was fun. We knew it was going to come down to Scott Boras BS, and it did. And Soto didn't make his influence known, it would seem, in those negotiations with, you can't sit there and say that the changing of the phone number and the front offices being unable to communicate with him is real stuff. I mean, not like it didn't happen, but it's like that's not any way to conduct business. That's a crazy way to go about conducting business, and that's exactly what Juan Soto did, or he allowed Scott Boras to orchestrate. And yeah, there is like that's shitty, and there are consequences for that, whether true or not. The stuff leaked and the stuff came out, and now people feel a certain way. And I think that following Juan Soto around to root against him for the remainder of his career is idiotic and stupid. But what happened over the weekend, and then I think that's valid. His first return to Yankee Stadium and getting treated the way he did, that's absolutely valid. And then seeing these clips of stuff that surfaced throughout the year and, you know, lightly pointing and laughing, that's also fair game. Like, I'm not going to seek out Juan Soto content, but if I see Mets fans coming across my timeline losing their minds, I'm going to laugh and make fun of them, because that's part of the game, is what fandom. Sorry, it's a disease, folks, but we know that Mets fans would treat us that way because they have and they still do. Mm-hmm. We know Red Sox fans would, and they still do, and they treat their own players like shit, much like Mets fans have done. Death threats to Francisco Lindor a couple of years ago.
I was told that's not possible. Only Yankees fans are ever mean to any of their players. The Boston Red Sox invented baseball. Boston is the city where baseball was invented. It's the only team with fans, and those fans would never do anything like send death threats to Liam Hendricks over a random May series finale.
He survived cancer.
And tell him that he shouldn't have. Yeah, they would never have done that ever under any circumstances. Other than definitely don't check Liam Hendricks' social media today if you don't believe that. Don't
do it. Do not do it. But yeah, I mean, look, Juan Soto is arguably one of the three biggest names in baseball. So, you know, like I'll say every episode to Mets fans, welcome. It's just welcome. You're now national spotlight in a way that you've never been before. And there will be unrelenting criticism. There will be unfair microscopes. There will be fan criticism left and right. It will be borderline abusive. It will be unrelenting, but that's what you get when you give somebody the most money in sports history, North American sports history, and expect to not have to deal with it. So you want to think you're the big brother now? That's good. I don't subscribe to any of that. It's you know, it's two teams in the same city that, like, there's no hierarchy there. Like, obviously the Yankees have a richer history and they're the better franchise, but it's like the Mets have created the narrative of having to punch up to be a version of the Yankees, or to, like, you know, cry when the Yankees were spending all the money and had the dynasty and it wasn't fair and they suck and why like them? They're the cold corporate team who buys all the players and gets their way all the time. It's like, you guys created that narrative. We didn't. Mm-hmm. We just won games and made good baseball teams, and you know, now what? Now you lose to the team that is the new new corporation in the Los Angeles Dodgers and the NLCS. I'm not hearing anything about them. Still got to catch up to the Yankees, and then of course Yankee fans are going to be like, "You're not going to though, so shut up and leave us alone." But yeah, it is what it is. The Mets have now entered a new stratosphere, and they have to adapt to it at the end of the day.
When the Yankees were their best, who were their best players? Paul O'Neill, they stole from Cincinnati. Tino Martinez, they stole from Seattle. Like David Cohen on his last legs. Dwight Gooden, you know, rehabbing.
Marshall Clemens.
Andy Pettitte, who they developed. Like, who are the behemoths who pushed them over the edge? Clemens and getting Chuck Knobloch from Twins. Like, that's Posada, who they developed. Jeter, who they developed. Mariano Rivera, who they developed. Jeff Nelson and Mike Stanton. Nobody's saying it's unfair to have those guys. Like, the Yankees built these incredible 90s dynasty teams out of other people's spare parts, and like Scott Brocious, like knowing who's undervalued and going to get them. And when they got Knobloch, that was a big deal. That was like, oh, the Yankees flexing their muscle, but it wasn't financial. It was, they traded Christian Guzman and got Eric Milton. Like, yeah, they're that was a baseball trade. They're trading pieces to get pieces. And they go get Roger Clemens. Yeah, that's, you want to roll your eyes at that? Sure. But that was also a trade. They traded David Wells for Roger Clemens. So who's colder and more corporate? The Yankees of the 90s that you just hated to lose to because they were too damn good, or Steve Cohen and the Mets who buy everybody and gave Juan Soto's mom a credit card stipend and gave Juan Soto a private suite and a private jet if you believe Carl Ravitch, but not if you believe Jeff Passan. I don't know. Sounds pretty corporate perk CEO life to me. But as you reckon with that new reality, we'll just be over here trying to win more baseball games after beating Jacob deGrom with, yes, Ryan Yarborough. 0-0 score in today's game so far. Hope you are watching. Apparently, there's a window to play. They are playing. That is it for the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib, joined as always by Thomas Carannante. You can see us right back here. Not Monday, though. That's a holiday. We'll see you Tuesday to recap the weekend series, which is in Colorado. Pretty weird. The Rockies have like 8 wins right now. If I were the Yankees, I would recommend winning those games, some of them at least, if not all of them. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib, and I know that many of you Mets fans certainly will, including maybe that Barstool guy who we didn't mention by name. How would anyone possibly know who we were talking about based on what I said?
I don't even know who we were talking about, but
impossible to track who I was talking about. Thomas Carannante, how can the people find you?
Track me down at Tommy's_takes. We are both at the official Yanks Go Yard social media accounts at Yanks Go Yard FS. Fun times. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Will be greatly appreciated. That's how you know we're going live. Went live a little bit early today because of the game and because of some other schedule conflicts. Happy to have all of you guys here. And lastly, head on over to yanksgoyard.com. That is where all the content is. Everything you need to know. Everything you've ever wanted to know is there. Appreciate you guys reading and tuning in. Enjoy yourselves. A good Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you back here next week.
We sure will. How are you spending Memorial Day? Weigh in the comments. You going to Denver? That's not a bad idea. I might, if I were you. I'm not you, though. You're you. We'll see you on Tuesday. Probably. Definitely Thursday. I would say Tuesday and Thursday. Pretty safe. But you know how you find out for sure? Subscribing and turning on your notifications so you know when we go live. You'll see the events first. Until next show, take care and go Yankees. And go Knicks.
Please.
Go Knicks.